Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Grace Holland. On Wednesday, we heard from the family of Javion Magee for the first time, a week after he was found dead with a rope around his neck in Vance County. The case has caught nationwide attention, and we continue to learn more about the investigation. WRAL's Destinee Patterson was there for that press conference and joins us by phone from Henderson. Destinee, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So, who was Javion Magee?
So that was a question that was asked to his parents. They describe him as a person who loves for people to be together, to work together, and he also was just kind of getting his footing in a new career. He had just gotten his commercial driver's license, and he was following in the footsteps of his father. His father said that he also was in trucking and that Javion was able to watch him throughout his career in the industry.
He was very competitive, and when he started driving trucks, I didn't force him to drive trucks. He came to me. He saw my struggle with the trucking industry and having a company, and how now everything is pretty much down, and he saw me go up and he saw me come down. And then I guess he took it upon himself to step up, because I said, we as black people, we don't have nobody we can put other people on to businesses. Like most companies, these big companies, it's generations that form these companies, but they start as one or maybe two people, and they grow. And so I didn't have nobody to push that on, and he was one of the first people that say, "Hey, Dad, I'm about to go drive," And I'm like, "Wow, well, what make you want to do that?" He said, "I just want to do it. I want to put in my work."
Javion was following in his footsteps.
Right. And so, like you said, he was new to this industry, had been on a job. He lives in Illinois, but was coming, I think, from Pennsylvania, we've learned, down to North Carolina on this particular haul that he was on. So what do we know from the sheriff's office about the timeline of events leading up to when he was found dead last week?
Right. So the sheriff's office released this pretty intricate timeline of events. It starts off with Magee picking up a load in Pennsylvania. He's coming from Pennsylvania. He goes through Maryland, goes through Virginia, and he's set to drop off this delivery in North Carolina, and he does in Henderson. There's a Walmart distribution center. So from there, after he drops off his load, police say, or deputies say, that he went over to Walmart and bought a rope. That surveillance video has since been released. We've been able to see him actually use self-checkout and buy that rope. From there, we've learned that in the parking lot, Javion Magee gives a homeless person more than $200. And he tells them, "This is all that I have. If I had more, I would give it to you." The sheriff's office says that was $228. I actually talked to that person who received that money.
All right, tell me your name.
Patrick West.
Walk me through what happened when you met Javion.
He just gave me some money because I'm homeless out here, and I guess he's just a good guy, and he just gave me everything in his wallet, he gave me all the cash he had on him, I guess.
What was the conversation like, or was there any conversation?
No, he just stopped and gave me some money. All he said was, he said, "I don't know how much money this is, but you can have it." And he said, "Whatever it is, you can have it." And he hopped back in his truck and left.
So, what was his demeanor like?
He seemed fine. I don't know.
Like, what has been your reaction then to hearing, like, this man was, I'm guessing, a blessing to you, and then the next thing you know, he's all over.
Yeah, I know.
National attention.
Yeah, I don't know. It blows my mind to hear about that, because he seemed like a pretty good guy.
Anything that you want to ask them?
So how was he pleasant? Was he you look like he was sad about anything, or he just?
No, he didn't look sad at all. He just, just seemed normal. Yeah, it just seemed normal.
How often do you get $200+ at once?
Hardly ever. I've had one other person give me like $300 and something one time, and that's it.
What does that mean to you?
Say what now?
What does it mean to you to like get that much
Someone
money?
be that generous to you.
Man, that's a really good person. That's a really good person that will do that for you. There's not a lot of people that even stops and gives you $1, you know.
So from there, Magee stopped at a Hampton Inn. He stopped at a smoke shop, and the attorneys for Magee's family says that there were no rooms available at the Hampton Inn. So then Magee proceeds to go to a pretty well-known area where truck drivers are allowed to park their vehicles while they're making deliveries. And that is where law enforcement says that they eventually found him the next morning with a rope wrapped around his neck. Sheriff's office says it was 11 times wrapped around his neck. And he had that rope around his neck, and it was also tied to a tree, and he was under that tree. And in the morning around 10 o'clock on September 11th, that is when a person makes a 911 call to law enforcement saying that they found somebody dead.
I had some guys out here mowing grass, and I think got a man out here hung himself in a tree.
The guy hung himself in the tree?
Yeah, he looked dead.
Okay,
Still got a rope around his neck.
And they believe that this person had died by suicide.
Okay. And so what has been Magee's family's reaction to all of this? Obviously very shocking and devastating for them, I'm sure.
This week was the first time that we were able to hear from Javion Magee's parents.
I just ask that you guys keep us in prayer.
They were both very emotional. His father said more than his mother did, and she was just overcome with emotion. Throughout this investigation, we've been in contact with representatives for the families, and now we know the attorneys that are representing the family. And they've said all along that there were certain elements of Javion Magee's death that they felt were questionable. There were things that weren't adding up. And the attorneys today said that they're investigating whether this incident is a hate crime, whether this incident is a lynching. And I know that has been a big speculation online. The sheriff's office, of course, has said from the beginning that they're continuing to investigate, and there's no indication of that at this point. But the family has been pretty steadfast on wanting more answers, wanting more transparency from law enforcement. A couple of the things that they were concerned about, not being able to view the body, the sheriff's office says that was due to their distance. His father lives in Illinois, and Javion Magee was living with him, and his mother lives in Texas. So they both had to travel a long ways to get here even this week. And so they weren't able to view the body. They had questions about the circumstances around his death.
Okay, let's take a quick break right there, and we'll be right back. Destinee, before the break, you were talking to us about how the family is feeling in all of this. They have a lot of questions, want a lot of answers and accountability. What has been the response from social media on this case? Because you kind of alluded to it before the break as well. This is kind of taken off there as well.
Honestly, social media is really what has started the conversation around Javion Magee's death. Very shortly after Javion Magee's body was found, a TikTok surfaced online and literally went viral to the point where people all over the country were talking about his death, and they were talking about Henderson, North Carolina, and Vance County. Since then, of course, there have been a lot of social media posts that have included a lot of speculation, and that's a large reason why the sheriff has said that he is trying to be as transparent as possible. Like I said, we have this pretty intricate timeline of events, and that is largely due to the outcry from social media that has now turned into something in person. I mean, when the parents and the attorneys were speaking, there were several people from the community holding signs and calling for justice and calling for answers.
Right. It just seems like there's sort of a big call for accountability, maybe because people have seen cases where that didn't happen. And so does that seem like maybe where some of this is coming from? And does it seem like the sheriff's office is, I guess, aware of that and trying to mitigate that?
Absolutely. Really at the crux of the issue here is that the family says that they were told that Javion Magee likely died by suicide. And the family was immediately skeptical of this. They believe that Javion Magee would not take his own life. They said that there was no indication he didn't have any mental health issues. He wasn't going through any sort of tough time, according to his family. The sheriff's office denies that that was ever said, anything about death by suicide, and that they were still investigating this case. Nonetheless, that has repeatedly come up. Some of the surveillance video that we have and some of the timeline of events also seem to maybe allude that that could also be a possibility. But at this point, they're still investigating what might have caused Javion Magee's death and the circumstances around it. But that's really the crux of the issue, is whether he died by suicide and if there were any outside players in this. The attorneys for the family say that they are, again, investigating this as a possible linking or hate crime.
What are the next steps in this case?
The attorneys for the family say that they are going to get an independent autopsy. So the very early information that we have from the autopsy report released by the sheriff's office says that there was no indication, no signs of any defensive wounds when they were examining Javion Magee's body. But the family, again, says that they are going to do their own independent autopsy to come to their own conclusions on that. So that is going to be the next big step. Again, a lot of the surveillance photos and videos are not available to the public at this point. So I think if and when those videos do become public, those will also become big parts of the story, as those Walmart surveillance videos did as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Destinee. This is a heavy case. We appreciate you staying on top of it. Thank you for listening to the WRAL Daily Download. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. It's a daily email that's waiting in your inbox every morning with local news, events, and headlines to get you ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.